Estás escuchando Malditos Mavericks en Planeta NBA con Brais Quintá y Alejandro Neira.
Doncic pulls up, three-pointer. Bang! Bang! It's good! Doncic wins the game! Porzingis a long three. Bang! The unicorn! How did he do it? How did he do it? That is Luka Magic!
Welcome amigos de Planeta NBA, welcome amigos de Malditos Mavericks, bienvenidos a un nuevo episodio. Hoy es jueves 12 de agosto.
Hoy es el episodio número
100 de Malditos Mavericks. Yes.
Exacto. Episodio 100 de Malditos Mavericks, que no 100 de Planeta Maps.
Eso. En Planeta Maps llevamos menos. Ya os avisaremos cuando haremos 2 episodios 100 aquí. A falta de uno. Bueno, hoy es jueves porque estamos grabando esto entre semana, porque esta semana tenemos un invitado tremendamente enorme que os hemos anunciado esta tarde por Twitter. Lo tendremos en el pod de hoy, a Bobby Karalla, el Digital Content Manager de los Dallas Mavericks. O sea que os traemos algo realmente especial en este episodio 100, especial para nosotros, esperemos que para vosotros también. La verdad es que nos hace muchísima ilusión poder hablar con gente de Estados Unidos en general y en este caso ya con alguien que trabaja directamente en los Dallas Mavericks, lo cual es increíble. Así que muchas gracias a todos por habernos apoyado durante estos 100 episodios, desde que empezamos hace 2 años y que nos escuchabais 15 hasta ahora, que ya casi somos 1000 en Twitter. También estamos con un sorteo en Twitter que os animamos a que participéis, solo hay que darnos RT y seguirnos, es muy fácil. Y sorteamos una camiseta de Planeta Mavericks. Así que gracias a todos por el apoyo. Esperamos que os guste este episodio 100. Traemos la entrevista con Bobby y además, tranquilos, porque la última vez cuando vino Tim Cato nos dijisteis algunos que el inglés os quedaba así un poco a contrapié. Vamos a hacer 15 minutillos más al final contando un poco lo que él nos ha contado, traduciendo un poco para los que lo necesitéis. Aún así, a los que no, os animamos a que escuchéis la entrevista porque realmente ya la hemos grabado y ha sido espectacular. Es un tío majísimo, nos ha contado un montón de cosas interesantes.
Sí, impresionante.
Y una maravilla.
Majísimo, nos ha contado un montón de cosas súper interesantes, de con qué jugadores se lleva mejor, hemos hablado de la off-season, muchas cosas súper interesantes, 45 minutos de charleta con él, de verdad, majísimo, quedaos a escucharla porque os va a encantar.
Sí, a pesar de nuestro inglés, bueno, asalto número 2 de Malditos Mavericks versus el inglés, hay que ponerse las pilas, pero ya. Pero bueno, suficiente para traeros este tipo de contenido y esperemos que os mole traer fuentes directas de los Mavericks aquí al podcast. Para nosotros esto es enorme. Así que nada, a seguir con esto, a ver si algún día podemos traer a Luka Doncic.
O a Maxi Cleaver.
Bueno, en cuanto a noticias, antes de dejaros con la entrevista, no hemos preparado esta intro porque venimos un poco ya con el hype de la entrevista, recién la acabamos de terminar, pero bueno, queríamos hacer intro. No hemos preparado nada, pero creo que no ha habido...
Tengo yo un par de cosas, si quieres.
¿Tienes tú? Joder, perfecto. Pues tienes tú, cuéntalas.
Muy rápido.
Dale.
2 derrotas de los Dallas Mavericks en la Summer League. Ayer, lesión de Tyrell Terry. Parece que no es una cosa muy grave, pero quizás se pueda perder los partidos que quedan. Y luego, interés de los Mavericks en Lauri Markkanen, informa Mark Stein. Le hemos preguntado a Bobby sobre Markkanen, a ver qué opina. En el próximo podcast seguramente habrá novedades, entonces ya lo comentaremos en profundidad. Todavía no hay nada nuevo sobre Dragic. Y así están las cosas, poquito más. Bueno, sí, la noticia más importante del año, que Luka Doncic ha firmado 200 millones de euros.
La panoja para Luka Doncic. Super Max Rookie Extension. Pocos hay que hayan firmado esto en la historia. De hecho, no os dejéis engañar. Trae Young todavía no la tiene. Claro. Trae Young todavía no. Tiene que hacerlo el NBA este año. Lo están metiendo por ahí en las listas, pero de momento solo tiene garantizados 170.
Yo prefería que...
¿Qué? ¿Hola?
Yo prefería que tuviese el contrato de Trae Young. Sinceramente, o sea...
Nada, déjalo, deja al chaval que...
Menos dineros.
Déjalo que se lo merece. Afortunadamente, Doncic ha renovado. Si se me llegan a ir Doncic y Messi esta semana, yo ya no sé qué hago, pero por lo menos uno de los dos ha renovado. Y buena panoja que se lleva. 5 añitos más, el último es Player Option, si no me equivoco. Y ahora a intentar ganar con él, por lo menos a ver si un anillo durante este contrato y otro durante el siguiente. Ahí está mi
Ojo.
Ahí está mi porra. ¿Algo más que tengas que comentar antes de dar paso a la entrevista?
Nadita. Dale caña que tenemos ganas de hablar con Bobby.
Te escucho con un poco de lag. Menos mal que esto es la intro y esto ya no importa que no salga mal. Bueno, vamos a poner música de Horus.
Da igual porque
sí.
Nos van a escuchar bien, que yo me estoy escuchando.
Bien. Perfecto. Ponemos música de Horus, damos paso a la entrevista. Os agradecemos de nuevo este apoyo durante los 100 episodios que llevamos. Y vamos allá a escuchar lo que nos cuenta Bobby Karalla. Bueno, vamos allá con la entrevista de hoy en este episodio número 100, episodio especial, invitado especial. Tenemos nada más y nada menos que a Bobby Karalla, el Digital Content Manager de los Dallas Mavericks, también host de Sailing is the Roof y de Numbers on the Boards, dos podcasts que os recomendamos desde aquí. So, hello Bobby, how are you doing? Thank you for coming to the pod.
Oh, thank you guys for having me on, and I'm really excited to be here for episode number 100. It's a big deal.
Yeah,
it is a lot.
It's been like 2 years. Yeah.
2 years. Geez. So you're doing it basically once every week then, huh?
Yeah.
Every week.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah, well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It is great for all the Spanish community to meet someone from basically the Mavericks organization, like someone from the team, and have a closer point of view of the team. So thank you for coming. And first of all, we would like to know a little bit more about you and your job. Like, could you explain us how did you start and get this job at the franchise? What's exactly the role of a digital content manager for the Dallas Mavericks, and also which is for you the best part of it?
Okay. So I was hired in 2015. And before that, I did 2 seasons kind of like as an intern or like a part-time employee. So really, I just finished my 8th season with the Mavs, which is awesome. My first year was 2013-14, whenever it was Dirk and Monte and Vince Carter hit the shot against the Spurs. So that was a lot of fun. It's kind of like my rookie season. But my role has sort of always changed. At first, I was only brought on to basically write this email newsletter that would go out to season ticket holders. And then I started writing a little bit for the website and a little bit for this program called Tip Off that we give to every fan that comes to the game. But then, people are starting to read less of the written word and listen more to podcasts. And so I started doing a little more podcasting over the years. And then just recently, we've started trying to get into Twitch. So we're streaming a couple times a week on Twitch right now, but once the season starts, I want to stream every single day on Twitch, talking about, the game from last night, the game, coming up later that day, having some more talk shows and things like that. So I'm really trying to grow that right now. That's like my main focus, in addition to doing podcasts. So kind of the great thing about my role is that I can always sort of try something new. I have like a little bit of freedom to kind of mess around and find something that is really interesting that I think our fans might enjoy, while also, trying to deliver the most Mavs information as possible, like on Twitter or on the website or wherever it is that people can find me.
Wow,
that's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, you on draft night you were on Twitch too, right? I think I saw you guys there. And I think you're streaming now this Summer League, right?
Yeah. So on draft night we did a first round broadcast where it was me and 4 or 5 other people, just kind of talking about the picks. And the funny thing is, of course, the Mavs didn't have a pick, but we still had I think 23,000 people watched it or something, which is just awesome for us because it proves that, even if the Mavs don't have a pick, so many people, 23,000 people to watch our broadcast about where the Mavs did nothing. Like, that shows how much people love this team and how passionate the fans are. And so it's really reassuring for me to know that it's like not just a complete waste of our time, but also just like it proves like there are Mavs fans all over the world. Like, it was the dead of night in Spain. The first round ended at 10 p.m. So it's like 5, 6 in the morning in Spain and people are still tuning in, or in late. Germany or Slovenia, or Latvia. All around the world. And that was kind of reinforced too during the Olympics. Like, I know that it was probably a bummer to see Luka go up against Spain in the group play, but like you had people from Germany, Spain, Slovenia. I mean, Mavs fans like in the Philippines and in Japan and Australia watching. So there's just Mavs fans everywhere. So yeah, we were doing that. And right now we got Summer League going on. In addition to the show called Mavs Vault that I do with this guy named Jason Zone Fisher, where we try and bring on like former players or people who work like in the NBA. Like a couple weeks ago, we had a photographer on our show named Andy Bernstein, who's worked 40 NBA finals in a row and has taken, he took a bunch of, pictures of this year's finals with Giannis and the Bucks and the Suns. And so we were just talking about some of his favorite photos from over the years. He was with the Dream Team in Barcelona in 1992. So that's kind of what we're doing right now on Twitch, but it's going to change a little bit and become more of like almost like a Mavs news station once the season starts. So I'm really excited about that.
Wow, that's great.
Talking a bit more about your job, do you have the chance to meet the players, to spend some time with them? Is there anyone that you get along especially well with?
Yeah. So, this year, unfortunately, because of COVID and stuff, I had no interaction at all with the players because except for like, Zoom interviews and things like over the internet. But generally, like in a normal season, I mean, I'm going to the locker room every game. I see the guys at practice. I travel with the team quite a bit during the season. I'm kind of on a rotation with a couple of my coworkers. But I think it was the year maybe right before we got Luka, or maybe Luka's rookie year. I can't remember. I went to like 64 games or something. So, I mean, I'm going to a lot of these games, including the ones on the road. And so whenever you're around the players that often, like they begin to sort of, recognize you and you get to know them really well. And also try to communicate to them like, look, we're teammates, I'm working for the Mavs. So I'm with you. So if you ever need anything, let me know. But yeah, I mean, I've gotten to spend a lot of time around them and a lot of the time around the coaches and staff and Mark Cuban and all of those people. Some of my favorite people that I actually know like really well, Maxi Kleba. I love that guy. He's hilarious, dude.
We are big fans of Maxi because he played in Santiago, in our city, in the Obradoiro. Don't know if you know that. But he played here in Spain, in our city, so we saw him playing live a lot of times.
He was there when he was like really young, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He learned how to play here.
Obviously, we love him because we are a small city. We are like 100,000 people here, and we love him. Yeah.
Wow, dude, that's awesome. But I think Maxi, like, I don't know if he knows that much Spanish. Am I wrong on that? Or can he speak it pretty well?
I think 1 year here.
Couple years maybe. He came back like 1 year and a half ago, or maybe 2 off seasons ago. He came here and we gave him like a present on becoming a great basketball player overseas.
Oh, that's cool. Kind of just like honoring him at a game, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was super cool.
That's cool. Yeah, dude. Yeah, no, Maxi's awesome. Maxi's really cool, and I like Jalen Brunson a lot too. I think he's really, really funny and has always been really nice to me. But then there are other players over the years too, like Dirk obviously is just he's the nicest guy in the world. But I really liked Vince Carter. I really liked Jay Crowder. And then some other guys during the years whenever we were like, when the team was just, really bad on the floor, losing a lot of games, we had the opportunity to bring in a lot of young guys, and young guys are typically going to be cooler with young people, So I got to know people like Kyle Collinsworth, Dennis Smith. I got to know him pretty well. Yogi Ferrell, Dorian Finney-Smith, who's still with the team now. But during those times, there was way less media around the team because the team was bad. There was less pressure on the players because they weren't really, expected to win necessarily. And they were, a lot of them were undrafted or whatever. So they were just so excited to be there. They were always just in a good mood. So that was a really fun time to be around the team. I got to know a lot of those guys really well. But yeah, favorite people on the team right now is like Maxi and Dorian are probably, and Jalen Brunson are probably my top 3.
Great. They look nice, both. Yeah.
And with all these changes on the staff and on the team, with the new head coach, the new GM, it's been a busy time for you from the communication side. And how are you living all of this? did this change anything for you? Are the vibes good? Are you looking forward for the season?
Are the vibes or not?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's definitely going to be a little different for us, just because, Rick Carlisle is obviously an incredible coach and just an amazing, tactician, and he had so much knowledge about basketball, but he never really wanted to like reveal his secrets, or like he didn't want anyone to get too close, basically. He kind of wanted to keep what they were doing on the floor like behind closed doors, out of the public eye. Whereas I think with Jason and Nico now, I think they want more. They are basically, I think, willing to give us more access. So they're going to let us like into practice where we can film stuff going on and take photos of practice behind the scenes, and not like give away any secrets or anything like that, but just be a little closer to the team, spend a little more time around those guys to hopefully create some better content that the players will like and that our fans will like. So I think that's one change, but also I'm really curious to see what kind of coach Jason is going to be tactically. Are they going to run different plays? I'm sure they will than they did last season, but how different are they going to be? And like with Kidd coming from the Lakers, where they would always play Anthony Davis at power forward, and they oftentimes had a big center, Dwight Howard or Marc Gasol or Andre Drummond, like a huge guy on the floor. Does that mean that Kidd is going to prefer Kristaps Porzingis to play at power forward and have a 5 on the floor, or is he going to go the opposite direction, kind of like how the Mavs played a couple years ago and have KP at center with just a bunch of wings and shooting around Luka? So I'm curious to see kind of how things change on the floor. And then in the front office too, I mean, Donnie Nelson was here for a very long time. He had very specific types of players that he liked. I'm curious to see, how that changes with Nico now in charge and with Michael Finley having a little more influence too. But those are kind of like the two things that I'm watching for. But I think like off the floor, things will be a little different for us in a good way because we'll be able to get a little closer to the team. At least I'm hoping. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think KP is on opening night? Do you think KP is starting at power forward, or do you think he's starting at center?
I think we're more on the side of starting at center. I mean, the NBA is looking like for small guys right now, so I think the most modern way to play is to play KP at the center. I don't know if you agree, Alex, but the defense is obviously a problem with KP in some situations, and he needs to get back in shape and to be a rim protector again. So I don't know. It would probably depend on the matchup, I think.
I think the best version of this Mavericks team is with KP of the 5, but we also have like 6 centers right now. Yeah. So
there's a lot of big guys.
And no
I don't know.
force.
So
and just Maxi on the power forward. So.
Yeah, I don't know. We will see. But yeah, I'm also curious to see how different we're playing this year. Maybe faster. They said that we are playing faster and with a defensive mentality too, which I think is great. The Lakers played great defense the last couple of seasons, so I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, and I liked how Luka played with Slovenia. Like if Dragic or Jakub Blažić, like if one of those guys would get the rebound, he'd just let him go. I mean, they would just take off screaming down the floor. And I think Reggie Bullock he's done pretty well in transition the last couple of years, kind of as a spot up guy, but also just running the floor, getting out there. And last season, Tim Hardaway was really he was like the only other guy outside of Luka who they would really trust off a rebound to just push it the other way. But he scored a lot for himself in transition last season. So if both of those guys are on the floor and if KP is at the 5, I'm with you guys. I think like if they need to win a game, I think KP has to play center. But, throughout the regular season, if the other team has a giant playing center, then maybe you start a little bigger just to protect KP a little bit. But when they're going to be at their best, I think it's KP at the 5, Luka at the 1, and then like Hardaway, Bullock, Finney-Smith, just 3 wings that can all shoot and that can all run, get up and down the floor, just making plays in transition. So hopefully that's what they're able to do. but that will mean that everyone's going to have to step up a whole lot on defense, and especially with Luka and Tim, because they're going to have to be guarding perimeter guys. They're going to have to stay in front of their man, because KP is like, he's good back there, protecting the rim, but he can't erase everything. He's not Rudy Gobert. So everyone has to step up a little bit to help protect him and to help him help them. So hopefully they can find that right balance. But I agree with you guys. I think that's where he's at his best.
Yeah, it looks like Jason Kidd wants to get KP, to get him back involved in the game, and not just how we saw him in the playoffs, maybe waiting for the ball in the corner, a lot of possessions. And I think that will be great for him to feel important in game. So I trust on Kidd on that side. Maybe as you tell at the start, maybe Rick Carey was tactically better, but I have kind of good vibes with this Jason Kidd mentality about getting the players involved and give them a little bit of freedom as well. I don't know if you agree with this. Do you think that Kidd could help this team chemistry, which maybe was a little bit erased last year? Do you think he will get the chemistry back?
I hope so. I know I know you guys have seen the Giannis book that Mir and Fader wrote. I cannot wait to read it, by the way. But there's a lot of stuff in there about Jason Kidd and kind of, some of the things that happened in Milwaukee, and some of that stuff wasn't very good. But he has admitted that he learned a lot after that job. Taking some time off and then going to the Lakers, spending a couple years working with Frank Vogel, working with LeBron, and hopefully being a part of that organization, winning a championship, going on another playoff, even though they lost in the first round, going to the playoffs again. Hopefully he learned a lot from that and can take a lot of his experience from that situation and apply it here, and less of what happened in Milwaukee and Brooklyn, where things were kind of weird there. But if J Kidd really did learn, and he's a brilliant guy, so I trust that he did learn. I think that he can patch things up a little bit, because last year, not only were players frustrated with, I'm sure not everybody got along with Rick all the time, but also, they couldn't go out, they couldn't go have fun. They were locked in their hotel room basically all the time, trapped at home, and they were playing so many games all the time, to where really all they had was each other. And that's great whenever you're winning, but when you're losing, everybody just hates everybody, and so hopefully now, even though we'll see how things change with COVID over the next couple months, but with things becoming a little more normal now, I think everyone will be a little more laid back. You'll have fewer back-to-backs when guys, hopefully a lot of players are vaccinated and stuff, so they won't have to deal with going on into the health and safety protocol and disappearing for 3 weeks. Everybody will be good, and we can get the vibes back to being immaculate, because, I think by the end of last season, some players were really struggling. Like Josh Richardson ended up getting benched for almost the entire Clippers series. And, by the end of that series, they were only playing 6 guys. So everyone was getting frustrated. Everyone was getting worn down. Everyone was getting exhausted, especially Luka. But hopefully, J Kidd can kind of rejuvenate their spirit a little bit, get everybody in a good mood, and we can just kind of go out there and just play basketball.
I think one person that could help us a lot with that is Gigi Barea, who's maybe becoming assistant coach. We don't know yet, but they've talked about that, and I think he could help us a lot with this vibes and chemistry on the team. I really hope he comes back to the team, and I would love to see him sitting next to Kidd and next to Luka, because I think he can help Luka a lot.
I think you're right, and I love JJ so much. I left him off my list earlier of people that I've gotten to know. I love that guy. I think he's great, and Luka loves him, and KP loves him too, and that's really important, because you're going to have Boban, Luka loves Boban, KP loves Boban. It's good to have a guy that both of your top players, respect, and, they can both speak Spanish with him. They both just know him really well and look up to him. And, I think he was a really important presence in the locker room during the 2019-20 season. Last year, he was the last guy cut off the roster. And even though, they did it with basketball in mind because they needed another wing and Wes Iwundu gave them some length and defense and energy, it would have been really nice to have JJ, not just from a playmaking standpoint, but just a soothing presence in the locker room that could sort of, keep everybody on the same page. So hopefully they do bring him back. I know he was playing. He played a little bit in Spain, and then
Yeah.
and then he was
not out of games. He got tired of the team really soon, and he got back to the US. But
he wasn't over there very long, and then he was gonna do something else, and then he pulled out of it. I think he was maybe gonna play in Puerto Rico for a little bit, but then didn't.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if he's just like taking some time off, or if he is going to come back and coach. I mean, typically guys will take like at least 1 year off just to kind of enjoy life, relax, eat, drink, hang out with your family, and then they'll get
wine,
bored. They'll want to go back.
Wine.
Wine. Yeah, plenty of wine.
But
although JJ, I think JJ was partaking even during the season, but we'll see. But I think eventually he's going to be back. Hopefully it's soon, because I like him a lot, and I think that he can teach Luka a lot and teach KP a lot, and I think he could be a good coach. I mean, he's just a good dude who motivates people. So I hope that I hope he comes back.
He can eat and drink with Luka and KP. Like, for us, it's enough to have a drinks with them and talk with them.
Hopefully drink during the off season, but eat for sure.
So let's talk about Luka a little bit, because I don't know if you had the chance to watch Doncic playing in Europe before he got to the NBA. I like to ask anyone from the US, and maybe anyone who's not very familiar with European basketball. I always want to ask: did you expect this potential when he got in the draft? Did you expect like he was going to be a superstar? Because we didn't know it, because it was impossible to know it, but we kind of feel that this was a special talent. He won everything here, every MVP, every possible MVP, every possible title. So we kind of expect big things from him. But did you expect it?
Ooh, that's tough. So whenever he was with Madrid, that season was 2017-18. That was the year the Mavs drafted Dennis. They started off like 2-13. I mean, they were just really, really bad. And so I knew we're going to have a top 5 pick. I mean, it's just going to happen. And so I started watching, that was when DeAndre Ayton was at Arizona. Marvin Bagley was at Duke. So I was keeping up with all the guys. And so I was just watching them a little bit. And then I started watching Luka. And I had known Luka because they had won Eurobasket, but I didn't watch that competition at all because no Mavs were playing in it. But then I started watching Real Madrid, and I was like, I mean, I've heard about him. I knew he was projected to be one of the top picks. I knew he was, this amazing talent. But then I actually watched him with Madrid, and I was like, this guy is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way that he's not the best player. Like, he's so much better than everybody else. It's not even close. Like, he would be the best player on the Mavs right now, And so that entire season, I would watch every single game. I wasn't watching them live. I would usually watch them like the day after or a couple days after, just go on to Synergy and just catch all the stuff that he did. And I was just like, this guy you could drop him into any team right now and he would instantly be one of their best players, like right now. But I didn't know that he was going to be like this good this quick. What I thought is that he would maybe be like Manu Ginobili. And Manu Ginobili is a Hall of Famer. He's one of probably the 100 best basketball players of all time, but he's not LeBron, I thought Luka would be closer to Manu, closer to somebody like that. But I mean, he blew me away. I mean, he's so good. Obviously, he's so much better than anybody thought. But I just could not believe throughout that entire season that people that are draft experts, that other teams, scouting departments, general managers, I couldn't believe that I was watching the same thing that they were watching, and yet they didn't think that he was the best player. Like, I thought that was like an absolute crime. I was like, what? How can you think this? Like, there's no way that anybody could watch this guy and not say that he's already one of the 50 best players in the NBA, and he's not even in the league yet. But my dreams were crushed a couple times. First, whenever they won EuroLeague, I was like, well, he's going to be the number 1 pick no matter what. And then the draft lottery, whenever the Mavs had the 3rd best odds but fell to number 5, that night was maybe the most basketball depressed I've ever been in my life. And I lived through 2006. I lived through 2007. I saw that stuff happen up close. But the Mavs falling from 3 to 5, basically guaranteeing that they won't get Luka, like absolutely broke my basketball heart. I was completely devastated. I remember calling my dad after the lottery happened, and we talked for like 2 hours. I was just so sad. I was really sad because I'm thinking, like, I've spent all year. First off, the team won 24 games. I watched so much bad basketball. You know, Dirk's career is coming to an end. Like, are we going to be stuck in this sort of wheel of terribleness for the next decade? Like, are we just going to suck forever? Luka is our chance to not be bad, you know, and it just slipped away. Like, we just fell 2 spots for no reason at all. We lost a tiebreaker, so we lost 2 spots. But yeah, I mean, it was just, God, I was really sad. But yeah, I spent all year watching him thinking, like, I need this guy to be a Mav. I know they want him. I know that they love him. And sure enough, they did all along. So that's great. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I thought that he would be like a borderline all-star every year, like a really, really good player, a top 20, top 30 player in the NBA. I did not know that he would be like a top 5 player by age 21, basically.
Looks, you're happy with the Trae Young Luka Doncic trade.
Oh yeah. Oh my God.
There's some people who still says that it was a good trade for the Hawks. I don't know.
No. Whenever it came out that they made that trade, we were having a draft party in Dallas, and Dennis was actually there. I did an interview. So there was probably like 300 or 400 Mavs fans there. And I did an interview with Dennis on stage right before the draft. And then we went backstage once the draft started, and the news came out that they were going to make that trade. And everybody backstage, it was like just a few Mavs employees, they were like, who is Luka Doncic? Like, they didn't know anything about this guy. And then, but they did know Trae Young because, you know, OU is, you know, it's like a couple hours away from Dallas. So everyone knew who Trae Young was. No one knew who Luka Doncic was. And so I was just like, no, you guys got to just trust me. This guy is going to change the world. Like, this guy is just amazing. And I had to tell that to Dennis, too. I had to tell that to Harp and to Sean Marion. Like, none of these guys really knew too much about Luka. But yeah, whenever that trade happened, that was like one of the happiest moments of my life. I'm not even joking. It was amazing.
Also for us.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I mean, like,
it was also like
Spanish superstar playing for the Mavs. That's got to just be, I mean, that's like the best thing ever.
Like the perfect place to fall for Luka. Like in the Nowitzki franchise, another European player. It was a place. Like, I can't see him playing Hawks. Has no sense right now.
Yeah,
And
or like
also,
Memphis or Sacramento. I mean, come on.
Also, this week it's been pretty happy for us because he signed the extension, 200 millions, and maybe the clock is ticking a little bit. We need to make sure
to get him some help.
Yeah. What do you feel about the off season? We can talk about this a little bit. Reggie Bullock, Sterling Brown, also the resigning team, and Boban, of course. How do you feel about this?
So I know that a lot of fans, because Dallas had the opportunity to have max cap space, basically, or to create max cap space, get like a Kyle Lowry tier player. I know a lot of fans wanted that to happen, and whenever it didn't happen, that is kind of a letdown. Because we have been waiting a long time for, one of these all-star players to come along and to choose Dallas. But, if you are going to miss out on like the big fish, right, the top 20 player, then you better be able to pivot quickly. And in off seasons past, the Mavs have kind of struggled with that. Like, if they miss their main target, then they kind of are left to pick up the pieces. But I thought they did a really good job of getting Bullock and Sterling Brown right away and re-signing Tim right away. I mean, all that stuff happened like basically in the first hour or two of free agency. And I thought that was really smart because as free agency went on and as teams missed on DeMar DeRozan or missed on Kyle Lowry or missed on Lonzo Ball, like the teams that have money are going to turn their attention to Tim because he was like the next best guard available after, kind of the big guys. But Dallas locked him up really quickly. And then they got Reggie Bullock, who I think is a good defender and a really good shooter. And they got Sterling Brown, who, again, he's a pretty good defender and a pretty good shooter. And, coming into the offseason, I thought the Mavs needed 3 things. I thought they needed more shooting, perimeter defense, and then another guy that can kind of create, right? That secondary ball handler type of player. Now, Bullock and Brown are both defenders and they're shooters. Tim was on the team last season. We know what he can do. So really all that's left is to find one of those guys, whether that's a bench guard or whoever. And there's still a couple guys out there, of course. One of them shares a country with Luka. And there's some other players available too. But I think if you are going to miss on a star player, then you have to find ways to address your areas of need. And I thought the Mavs did a good job of doing that. So they got a little better, at least a little better on paper. They should be a little better on the floor too. But I know right now, like you guys already said, they got like 15 centers basically. Like I think they're going to end up probably making another move or two to kind of balance out the roster, bring another guard in. Now, I don't know if that's going to be the player that everybody wants or if it's just going to be another depth piece. But either way, I don't think they're done yet. But generally overall, I thought they've addressed two areas of needs, thought they've gotten a little better. They have maintained, they added another couple guys on contracts that they could potentially package to trade for a higher paid player down the road, or they can just keep those guys on a good deal and just have a good player. So I like what they've done. But if you were expecting or really hoping for an all-star, then I understand feeling a little disappointed. But again, they still got good quality players. But I don't know. What do you guys think about it?
Basically the same. I mean, I think we got time to bring another all-star or super player to the team. Luka is still young. He has now 5 more years with the team. So yeah, we have assets, which is something that we really needed. We have now like more assets than last year and more like usable players, like playable guys. So I'm happy, but we have still some money left, and I would really like to have some new players, maybe one more player, maybe a 4. Like they are talking about Larry Markkanen. We're going to ask you about him right now, but yeah, maybe another big or another ball handler, as you said. So yeah, maybe with one more player, I would be satisfied as well. Like at least.
Yeah,
I
like
feel
it's
that-
close, right? Like
that-
you can see it. It's just not just like one more little piece. I think is all they need.
Those 10 millions that we have, like we need to spend them as soon as possible.
For sure.
Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, my internet is lagging, so sorry. I feel like we desperately need another ball handler. So maybe it's Dragic, maybe not, but I think we should balance the roster a little bit, move some centers and bring up some ball handler guys. I would love to bring back Dennis, just give a flyer on him and I don't know, give him a roster spot, and but also a kind of Dragic guy. I think it will be great. And I'm not very high on Markkanen, but also if he's cheap, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, me neither. I would also give Dennis Smith Jr. a chance. I mean, I think if there's any team that could like have him and maybe real, I don't know how to say it, like give him a second chance in the league, because he looks a little bit lost right now. I think the Mavericks are the right place to do it, and he had, if I'm not wrong, he had a good relationship with Luka when they played together. So if we don't get Dragic, I would be happy with Dennis Smith at least, and Lauri Markkanen is kind of the profile that we need, but he doesn't defend a lot. So I mean, he's the position that I would like to improve right now, but his defense, I don't trust a lot on his defense. So what do you think about Markkanen and also Dragic?
Yeah, so I think for adding another ball handler or point guard, I guess point guard size player, Luke is a point guard, but he's 6'8", but like adding another guy who's like 6 foot, I think the fit is kind of going to be, I don't want to say a challenge, but interesting, because Luka is going to be starting and he's going to be the guy, right? And you're probably not going to just sign a player and put him in the starting lineup, whether it's Dragic or Dennis Smith or like some other guy. Like you're probably going to start Luka with either 2 wings and 2 bigs or 3 wings and just KP. So that would mean that off the bench, you have Jalen Brunson, and then you have that point guard, and then you have, whoever, Maxey or Dwight Powell or Willie or whatever, Josh Green, like those guys, Trey Burke. I just don't know if that second unit like has enough size. You know what I mean? So I would think almost that if they wanted to add another ball handler, and I know a lot of fans were talking about DeMar DeRozan.
Yeah, DeRozan was
I didn't really like the fit with him necessarily because he's just not much of a shooter. He's more of a mid-range guy. I think you need to be able to shoot the three to play with Luka. But a guy like closer to DeRozan's size, because then whether he's coming off the bench or playing in the lineup, he's not like redundant with Luka because they can still switch and guard a lot of different positions on defense. They're not overlapping too much on offense because they can both shoot, they can both make plays, and then they can both play with like Brunson or whoever it is off the bench. Because what I don't want to necessarily have happen is have your second unit be 2 point guards because, the starting lineup, if KP's at the 5 and it's Luka and Tim and 2 wings, defense might not be like the biggest strength of the team, and then off the bench you have a bunch of small guys as well, and so I feel like you kind of want to balance that out a little bit if you can, but the benefits of adding a player like Dragic or Dennis are they're great because Luka loves them and all of that stuff, so that would be really I would have no problems with that, but I just think like if you are going to add another playmaker, I would prefer someone who just has a little more size, and those guys typically are going to cost a little more money or draft picks or whatever. But that's just what I would like prefer. As for Markkanen or like another stretch big, the Mavs have a lot of bigs already. Most of them are centers, not so much shooters like Maxey or KP, where they can step out and play a little 4, a little stretch 5. I think that's where the Mavs want to go. So if they are going to do something like via trade, I could see them going that direction, like adding another bigger guy that can shoot the ball. But Kidd has said he wants to play defense. The Mavs understand if you have Luka on the team, you're going to have a top 10 offense. So what they need is defenders. And so like if you're not a good defender, I'm just not sure how much money the Mavs will have for you anymore. I mean, I think they're philosophically like they recognize the need to add as many defenders into the mix as possible to protect Luka, to make it easy for Luka, and that they can just come down and knock down shots on offense. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do in the next couple off seasons, what moves they make to upgrade the team. But I think if you're more of a minus on defense than a plus, I'm not sure how the Mavs will make it fit, because right now Luka and KP, like the defensive fit with them is so tricky already. I'm not sure you can add more like question marks into the mix. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree. We need versatile defenders, and this league right now is made of wing players, and all the contender teams had a bunch of wing players like the Clippers, the Lakers, and these 3-4 like Dorian's Finney-Smith kind of player, and we need more of that. We have good guards, small guards with centers, like big centers, but we don't have that mid-range point, like versatile defenders from the 2 to the 4, and I think that's
why
really,
I like Bullock and Brown so much, is because I mean they're a step in that direction at least.
Yeah. It's really important to have that.
Basically, now you can play Luka and 4, 6, 8 guys to 6, 10 guys, and you're good to go, basically. And the league is like that right now. So
bring the Morris brothers and all the Jeremy Grant type of players, all that guys.
Yeah, and I know everybody, Danny Green, the Mavs tried to trade for him 30 times, but I mean, that's the kind of player that they want. And now, whether that's right or wrong, I guess is up to everyone's, interpretation. But I mean, you look back and watch the finals, with Phoenix and Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Ayton was able to stay on the floor for that series, but by the end of the series, he was having to guard Giannis, and Giannis put 50 on him in Game 6. So, like, you need wings. Wings win games in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. Bigs win games in the regular season. And so I think if I'm in charge of a team, I'm trying to get as many good wings as possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree. So the last question for you is, like, we would like to talk about the next season, expectations about the next season, and also apart from the players that we could bring and in the rest of the free agency, what do you need? Do we have to improve to become a contender team? Like, not new players, but improve some errors that we maybe had last season. Like, what points are important for you? We talked about chemistry. I think that's one important thing, but also maybe something more that you can tell us.
Yeah, so I think the big thing, man. So the big step that the Mavs can take, and I guess maybe this is more just Luka and KP than anyone else, but it is the Mavs. Just the whole team collectively is they have to start beating bad teams. You know, like last season they lost to the Bulls twice, they lost to the Kings 3 times. You know, they lost to the Thunder 1 time, and now Luka and KP didn't play that game, but they still lost the game. Yeah. You know, they lost a lot of not many. You know, they were like league average. You know, they were still over 500 against bad teams, but not by much. You know, you've got to take care of business against those teams. There's going to be, you know, Dallas is probably a top 10 team in the league, top 12 team in the league, somewhere in there, which means there's like 18 to 20 teams that are worse than them. That doesn't mean you got to win all of those games. You know, sometimes you're going to lose a game. It just is going to happen. But you can't lose to Sacramento 3 times. You know, you can't lose to Houston twice.
In 1 month.
Like, yeah. You gotta take care of those games because, you know, if you beat the Lakers 3 times, that's awesome. But then you lose to the Kings 3 times, and it's a wash. You know, and that's how you get a higher seed in the playoffs.
We can take a rest. Like, we have to play 100% every game. Like, we don't have easy games. Like Lakers, maybe they play without LeBron and they win, and it's like easier for them to win easy games. But Mavericks, like the Mavs, have always to play 100% with Luka and KP on the floor, and we don't have any rest. Yeah, no, for sure. And just the nature of Luka's game is such that he can't really like go 80% and dominate. Like, he has to try really hard. And now he does. He's like one of the 5 best players alive, but he has to go 100% in order to be that player. And so I think it's about learning collectively, but especially Luka and KP. You know, if it's a Tuesday night and you're playing, who's an example of a bad team? I mean, if it's a Tuesday night and you're playing the Thunder and, you know, 2 guys are out of the lineup, another guy is like, he's got a swollen ankle, you know, so he's going to be going 50% tonight. No one really wants to be there. It's your 4th game in 5 nights. Like, you still have to take care of business. You know, you got to step up and get it done and win the game. And then you can relax afterward. And I think that, you know, this season was difficult for a lot of reasons, you know, on the court and off the court and just the state of the world and everything. But that was like a big issue for them. The one thing they did get a lot better at this year was closing games. Like in the 4th quarter and in crunch time, they were much better at both ends of the floor, which that's promising. And that also shows to me that, you know, Luka and these guys, they can learn, you know, and they can improve. So I'm hoping to see that play out because, you know, with the Warriors getting better, with the Lakers at least getting a little better, if maybe not a whole lot better, but at least a little better and possibly a whole lot better. You know, it's not going to be a layup for Dallas to finish in the top 6. So they're going to have to really, you know, they're going to have to win a lot of games in order to be in the top 6. And that means you can't slip up against the bad teams. So that's like the biggest thing that I think needs to happen is that you have to take care of business against bad teams. And then if you do, then I think they have a really good chance of finishing top 6, avoiding the play-in tournament, and then finding a way to win a series. You just have to win a series. It doesn't. I don't care how. I don't care if it's Game 7. I don't care if it's a 4-game sweep. I don't care if you're the 1 seed or the 8 seed. You have to win a series and make progress and gain that confidence, and also to show other players and other potential free agents and stuff, like, we're legit. You know, we're not just a pretenders. Like, we're a good team. So I'm hoping that they can do that. Not going to be easy. The West is really good, and the East is also very good. But that is my goal and my expectation is they have to win a playoff series, and if they don't, then it is going to be it's going to be a problem. Yeah, would you like to watch a revenge against the Clippers, or you prefer to avoid the Clippers?
Well, if Kawhi's not playing, then I mean I like our chances, but by then he might be back. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I mean, the big question for you guys is: do you think the Clippers even make the playoffs if Kawhi misses the whole season?
Yeah, that's a good question. Everybody's expecting
really
them
tough,
to be good without Kawhi, and we will see. We will see. They will struggle, I think.
Yeah, we were talking like yesterday. I think they didn't improve the team. Like they didn't do any important move this summer. So without Kawhi, maybe it's not enough. The West is really tough. And let's see Portland. They don't look good as well. And I mean, the playing is going to be interesting, but also Golden State Warriors are going to step up if Klay Thompson comes back healthy. So it will be close, I think. Hope we avoid the playoffs, the playing tournament, and hopefully we don't find the Clippers with Kawhi again for 3 years in a row.
Yeah, I'm good with we never have to play them again. As far as I'm concerned, I'm good with all that.
Not in the regular season either.
At least Kawhi. If we don't have to meet Kawhi again for the next 5 years, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, fine. That sounds good to me.
So that was it. We can finish it here. Thank you so much again for coming to the pod, Bobby. It is a big honor for us to have someone from the Dallas Mavericks here in the pod. And this is your house, so you can come back whenever you want.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
It was great, guys. Yeah, it was. Thank you so much for having me. I had a lot of fun.
Well, everyone who's not following Bobby Karalla on Twitter, I don't know what are you doing exactly, so go and follow him. I don't know if there's anyone on our Twitter, but just in case. So thank you so much, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Bueno, pues ya estamos aquí otra vez. Ahí queda esta charleta con Bobby Karalla. Qué tío más majo. Qué suerte tenemos de que viene gente muy maja a este podcast, ¿eh? A nosotros
y
nos
gracias
cae muy bien todo.
A Planeta NBA y a todos los que nos estáis escuchando. A todos los que nos estáis escuchando en este momento, muchas gracias.
Sin vosotros también, esto no sería posible.
Exacto. Es un cliché horrible, pero obviamente si no tuviésemos tanta gente escuchándonos, pues no vendría ni el Tato a hablar con nosotros, así que muchas gracias.
Ni el Tato ni el Cato. Pero nada, sí, un placer, la verdad, esta gente es muy maja, el tío muy majo durante todo el proceso de contactarle para venir, estuvo súper amable y se lo agradecemos también a él. Esto no lo va a entender, igual ni lo escucha, pero bueno, gracias Bobby que te has portado. Y nada, vamos a contaros un poco lo que nos ha dicho para aquellos que tengáis alguna dificultad para entenderlo. Vamos a traducir un poquito y vamos a hablar un poco de esta charla que hemos tenido con él. Así en resumen, repasando un poquillo los puntos que tratamos con él, que al final fueron bastantes. Iba a ser media hora, al final 45 minutos. Y bueno, y porque le dijimos que iban a ser 40.
Fue muy cómodo, la verdad.
Sí, yo estuve muy cómodo. También él tenía movidas ahora. Dijo que le había puesto una reunión su jefe. Igual era Mark Cuban directamente. No creo, pero oye, mejor que no falte a las reuniones del equipo. Vale. Le preguntamos. Primero le preguntamos un poco por su trabajo y por su experiencia, de cómo había llegado el equipo. Nos dijo que llegó con un contrato de prácticas, con un internship.
Sí.
Entró de becario, ya, imagínate, en España entras de becario sin cobrar en un sitio de mierda, pues en Estados Unidos a lo mejor entras de becario en los Dallas Mavericks. Y dijo que llevaba 8 temporadas ya en los Mavericks. Y bueno, y que se dedica básicamente, que empezó como escribiendo para la web y creando contenido, ayudando al equipo de creación de contenido, y ahora ya con el tiempo pues ha ido cogiendo importancia y ya es un poco el que coordina todo esto. Sí,
y además que ahora tiene mucha libertad, está haciendo varios podcasts porque ha visto que a la gente le gusta mucho escuchar podcasts de baloncesto, y ahora se está lanzando mucho a Twitch porque sabe que eso está creciendo un montón. Parece ser que en cuando empiece la temporada van a hacer directos de Twitch todos los días. Ahora están enseñando la Summer League. También hicieron directos durante el draft. Así que, bueno, se dedica a hacer estas cosas súper chulas, que es el mejor trabajo del mundo, porque también nos comentó que básicamente que está alrededor del equipo, sobre todo en años normales, no tanto de COVID, está alrededor del equipo, en el vestuario, puede hablar con ellos, viaja con ellos. Hace un par de temporadas que fue a 64 partidos, claro, de los 82. Es una locura.
Sí, yo me sorprendí, la verdad. O sea, obviamente sabía que estaba en contacto con el equipo, pero lo de viajar con el equipo, también ir a cubrir partidos fuera y tal, bueno, tremendo. O sea, hace las giras con el equipo. Además, le preguntamos un poco sobre si conocía a los jugadores, si tenía buena relación con ellos. También nos dijo que ahora, desde que hubo estos cambios, desde que ya no está Rick Carlisle y está Jason Kidd y Nico Harrison y tal, que son un poco más abiertos de cara a dejar entrar a la prensa y concretamente también a la prensa interna de los Mavericks, a los entrenamientos incluso, que era algo que Carlisle no les dejaba hacer porque era un poco más opaco con estas cosas. Como que les están dando todavía más facilidades de pasar tiempo con el equipo, de cubrir lo que hacen y que está pudiendo, bueno, de momento no por el COVID, pero ahora ya empieza otra vez a poderse y que va a poder estar todavía más en contacto con ellos. Le preguntamos con qué jugadores tenía mejor relación y, para nuestra sorpresa, nos dijo que con Maxi Kleber, el primero, fue del primero que nos habló, lo cual nos enorgullece porque, sabéis, para nosotros Maxi es como si fuera de Santiago, prácticamente. O sea, ya
totalmente.
Aunque también nos dijo que no habla español, que ya lo sabíamos que no habla muy bien español, pero bueno, que nos hace ilusión.
Mucho cariño.
Sí. Y también nos habló de Brunson, nos habló de Dirk, obviamente,
de Dorian,
que dijo que era la mejor persona del mundo. En esto estamos todos de acuerdo. Y también nos habló de JJ Barea, para terminar, que también le cae muy bien.
Pues sí.
Además, sí.
Digo, sí, que también de Dorian, que cuando el equipo era bastante malo, pues que tenía más posibilidades de estar con los jugadores jóvenes, había muchos jugadores jóvenes, entonces como que tenía más oportunidades de pasar tiempo con ellos y tal, y uno de ellos era Dorian, que empezó hace varios años ya en los Mavericks y que sigue aquí, ahora es más importante, pero sí, es impresionante, o sea, es un trabajo maravilloso el que tiene.
Sí, además de JJ nos dijo algo que también nos gusta de cara a traerlo al staff, que le comentamos esa posibilidad. Dijo que se llevaba muy bien con Luka y que se llevaba muy bien con Porzingis, que podían hablar español entre ellos y que tenían buena relación, y es importante tener ese glue guy, aunque no sea como parte del roster, pero sí como parte del staff, un poco también el rol que tiene Marjanovic, que le pagamos para que sea majo y reparta amor.
Y bueno, también.
Sí. Pero interesante el papel de Barea, que además se notó la temporada pasada, ya nos dijo que se había notado cuando se fue y que estaría bien tenerlo de vuelta para que ayudara un poco con esa relación. No hablamos directamente de la relación Luka KP, sí que soltamos alguna cosilla, pero bueno, tampoco quiso contar mucho, obviamente no se va a mojar en eso, pero sí que es importante figuras como Barea de cara a unir un poco más a las estrellas y a recuperar un poco esa química, así que esperamos que vuelva.
Pues sí, luego ya continuando un poco con la parte un poco, bueno, del equipo actual, le preguntamos sobre Luka, si había esperado que Luka fuese tan bueno, tan rápido.
Esa pregunta que me gusta hacerle a mí a la gente.
Y me encantó la respuesta.
¿Te venías venir al bicho?
Y me encantó la respuesta, o sea, me pareció súper tierna, o sea, de verdad.
Dale, cuéntala.
¿La cuento? Sí, vale.
Sí, cuéntala tú ya.
Es como que vio que en esa temporada habían drafteado a Dennis Smith, los Mavericks empezaron 2-13 y como dijo, vale, pues vamos a tener un pick número 5 porque vamos fatal, voy a empezar a chequear un poquito la clase del draft, a DeAndre Ayton en Arizona, obviamente salió Luka, Marvin Bagley también en Duke y tal, y empezó a ver a Luka, ver vídeos de Luka, los partidos del Madrid, y no se lo creía.
Dijo que se había visto todos los partidos del Madrid de ese año, en el que los Mavericks iban tan mal, que era como un poco su esperanza era draftear bien, y que se había visto todos los partidos prácticamente del Madrid ese año, y que no se lo creía, que para él era obviamente el mejor jugador en la pista. Es un poco lo que nos pasa en las Olimpiadas, lo vimos, tuvo partidos peores, pero hay partidos en los que parece que con 22 años está jugando contra gente de 10 años. O sea, parece que es obviamente el mejor jugador en cancha y no hay ninguna duda de eso. Y él también lo percibió cuando estaba en el Madrid. Así que, bueno, buen ojo, por supuesto. Hay que tener buen ojo para estas cosas.
Y dijo también que lo veía como que ya jugando en el Madrid, como que ya sería el mejor jugador de los Mavericks sin ninguna duda y uno de los mejores jugadores de cualquier equipo de la NBA. No se esperaba que en 2 años fuese uno de los 5 mejores jugadores de la liga. Pero me encantó que dijo que cuando perdieron el tiebreak en la lotería del draft, cayeron al 5, que fue un día súper triste para él, que llamó a su padre, que estaba...
Dijo que,
o sea,
que habiendo estado en 2006, en 2007 y también en esta última época peor de los Mavericks y tal, que ese había sido el día más triste de todos. O sea, imagínate, tenía esperanza.
Que lo había pasado fatal. O sea, estaba como muy ilusionado con poder draftear a Luka, que le encantaba, que sabía que los Mavs le gustaban, pero que que lo había pasado mal, que llamó a su padre, estuvieron hablando 2 horas. Y que después, cuando fue el día del draft, cuando salió que Dallas podía hacer el trade y que draftaban a Luka, que fue un día súper emocionante para él y que fue una cosa que bueno, incluso estuvo con Dennis Smith Jr., que también le preguntamos por él en la entrevista, por cierto, y que estaba bueno, súper contento y que fue un día súper alegre para él, porque después de todo el año viendo sus vídeos y tal, que no se creía que podían conseguirlo y que bueno, que estaba encantado.
Sí, le gustó el trade con Trae Young. No sé, cada uno con sus opiniones. Bobby es de los nuestros en esto. Le preguntamos también por la gente nueva que ha venido al equipo, por las incorporaciones, por la agencia libre. Le preguntamos tanto por los que vuelven, por Hardaway, Willie Cauley-Stein, Marjanovic, como también por los nuevos, Reggie Bullock, Sterling Brown. También por los posibles incorporaciones de Mark Cannon, de Dragic, de Dennis Smith, que son las que más suenan ahora mismo. Y bueno, os contamos un poco. Le gusta Reggie Bullock y Sterling Brown. Dice que se ajustan a lo que necesitaban los Mavericks, a 2 de las cosas que necesitaban, que era defensa exterior y tiro. Y los 2 son buenos 3&Ds, con lo cual eso le encaja. Y además eso, dice que el equipo ha mejorado, que por lo menos un poco sí que ha mejorado. Que bueno, es importante, aunque reconoce que puede ser una decepción para algunos fans tener espacio para un salario máximo a esta agencia libre y no haberlo gastado en un DeRozan, en un Lowry o en cualquier máximo de estos que estaban hablando, pero que aún así que el equipo mejora, que le gusta el fit de esta gente. Y sobre Dennis y el resto... sobre Dennis dice que realmente cree que nos hace falta un poco de tamaño. Yo estoy de acuerdo con esto. Yo creo que Dennis no puede llegar si no se va a Trey Burke, porque nos hace falta tamaño, nos hace falta eso, aleros o guards un poco más grandes, ball handlers del tamaño de DeRozan, aunque DeRozan dijo que no le gustaba mucho el fit por el tema del tiro, pero de ese palo. Y sobre Mark Cannon, pues un poco el tema que hablamos aquí en el pod 800 veces, que es que no defiende demasiado y que eso le tira un poco para atrás, pero bueno, que la posición es una de las que necesitamos. Yo creo que está un poco en el mood que estamos todos de hay que gastar esa pasta, y si es Mark Cannon, pues genial, porque es barato, y si no, pues que venga otro, pero que venga alguien.
No sé si te fijaste que hubo varias veces que no quería decir el nombre de Dragic.
No me fijo.
Como que dijo, bueno, sabéis que hay un jugador que también es del mismo país que Luka. Otra vez dijo, podemos conseguir el generador secundario del que todo el mundo está hablando, pero no diciendo su nombre. Me resultó curioso.
No habrá una exclusiva,
no sé si pueden...
no habrá una exclusiva ahí guardada que no nos toca a nosotros.
No sé si pueden sancionarlo a Bobby por hablar de jugadores que no son de los Mavericks. No creo, porque en su podcast habla continuamente de posibles fits.
Sí que obviamente con el tema de Nico Harrison y Jason Kidd, pues hay que tener un poco más de cuidado. Yo entiendo que tampoco se moje con eso. De hecho, cambió un poco de tema, también empezó a hablar un poco del equipo en sí, más de asuntos deportivos, más que de los cambios en el staff. Yo eso lo entiendo. El tema de Dragic supongo que no habrá problema, pero igual es algún tipo de superstición. Igual no quiere decirlo para que no gafarlo. No sé. Pero bueno, sí que hablamos de Dragic. Yo creo que estamos todos de acuerdo en que es buen fit Dragic. Y bueno, y por lo demás, pues tampoco ha habido muchas incorporaciones que comentar. De momento las que a él le gustan. A nosotros, ya os lo contamos en el podcast anterior, ya tendremos tiempo de hablarlo también cuando empiecen a jugar. ¿Y qué más? ¿Qué más tenemos? No sé si se me olvidó alguna cosa aquí por el camino.
Le preguntamos qué tienen que cambiar un poquito los maps, aparte de, pues eso, fichajes y tal, para hacer mejores el año que viene, y cuáles son, bueno, qué necesitamos hacer para que sea una temporada exitosa. Y dijo que obviamente ganar una ronda de playoff como mínimo, que tenemos que hacerlo como sea. Y luego que algo concreto, que es ganar los partidos fáciles, los que pensamos que son asequibles y al final perdemos porque somos los Mavericks, que hemos hecho muchas este año, pues que tenemos que mejorar en eso si queremos realmente competir con el top 4 del oeste a nivel de seeding, eso, para poder coger el factor cancha. Así que muy de acuerdo con él también.
Sí, lo de siempre, no perder los partidos, no descansar a Luka y KP para perder contra los Knicks y después, bueno, los Knicks ya no son un equipo malo, contra los Thunder y después perder también contra los Lakers cuando vuelven KP y Luka. Un poco este tema que hemos hablado tantas veces, aprender a ganar partidos fáciles sin Luka o sin KP y poder descansar un poco a la plantilla y que lleguen en mejor forma. También dijo que por el tema del COVID había momentos de temporada que la plantilla de 6-7 jugadores que estaban todos muy cansados. Y bueno, a ver si también estas incorporaciones ayudan a que tengamos un poco más de jugadores útiles, de assets. También le comentamos que eso nos gustaba, porque realmente necesitamos... hablamos mucho de que tenemos mucha clase media, pero tirando a media baja. Yo creo que necesitamos un poco más de esa clase media alta que te gana los partidos fáciles. Hardaway lo hizo el año pasado en muchas ocasiones, pero necesita un poco de ayuda. Yo creo que Reggie Bullock en ese sentido nos puede dar bastante suelo al equipo, una solidez importante cuando no esté o Luka o KP, pues alguien que sabes que va a ser un titular indiscutible y que va a ser importante. Entonces, a ver si este año es el año en el que dejamos de perder contra equipos de mierda.
Buen resumen.
Bueno,
pues ya estaría.
Un poco más, ya estaría. Esto es un poco el resumen de lo que nos ha contado. Os invitamos a que lo escuchéis igualmente, porque obviamente ha contado muchas otras cosas, pero no podemos hacer el podcast 2 veces. Queríamos contaros lo más importante. Ha sido una charla muy interesante. Y lo dejamos por aquí. Muchas gracias de nuevo a todos por estar ahí. 100 episodios ya de Malditos Mavericks, pero seguimos. La semana que viene volvemos otra vez. Traeremos más invitados de ahora en adelante. Ya sabéis que siempre lo estamos intentando. Nosotros nos movemos mucho. Luego, pues a veces se puede, a veces no se puede. Tenemos alguna cosa pendiente. Sí.
Somos como Nico Harrison. Estamos siempre activos con las llamadas y tal.
Pero
a veces
no
nos surge.
Pero
pero bueno, activos estamos.
Pero nosotros por lo menos traemos a agentes libres de los gordos. No traemos paja. Nada, habrá más. Ahora dejaremos unos cuantos episodios antes de traer a otro americano, porque sabemos que al final estamos aquí para hacer contenido de los Mavs en castellano. Si queréis escuchar podcast en inglés tenéis un porrón, pero bueno, nos hace ilusión. Esperemos que a vosotros también. Y muchas gracias a todos de nuevo. Seguidnos en Twitter. Recordad participar en el sorteo que tenemos activo de una camiseta de Planeta Mavericks. Solo hay que dar RT, seguirnos y poco más. Y nos vemos la semana que viene. Hasta luego.
Perfecto. Hasta luego. Chao.